Good evening, friends, and welcome to another episode of 10 Minutes with TmFal. This is your host, tfal&chi, and today we are talking about change. C.H.A.N.G.E, change. So, change, the definition, the act or instance of making or becoming different, right? Making or becoming different. And, we've heard the famous quote by Benjamin Franklin in 1789 that, nothing in life is certain except for death and taxes. But the other quote that's pertinent to this is the one by Heraclitus, a Greek philosopher, that said, the only constant in life is change. So what that means is that change is going to happen. Life is about change, and change happens daily, sometimes in seconds, minutes, but change is the only thing that's actually constant in life. Things will change, circumstances will change, people will change, situations will change, and so changes happen daily. Sometimes, changes with our body, with our schedules. Sometimes they're minor changes, changes in the weather happen every day. Sometimes they're growth changes, major spurts of, like puberty, menopause. But change is constant, and it is a certain constant in life. And that's something, that we know. Changes can be planned or unplanned. They can be expected or unexpected. They can be internal changes, they can be external that other people can see. Changes with our work, with our situations, with life, with relationships. Sometimes they're planned, sometimes they're unplanned. A lot of times the changes that happen in life are unplanned. Sometimes they're expected, but when they do happen, we have problem adjusting. So even when change is good, when we're trying to, we're moving from one state to another, we're moving to a new job, we're going from singlehood to being coupled up, or we're becoming parents, or we're going from working to retirement, or going from schooling to the first job. So a lot of life changes that are great, that are expected, that we planned for. But even when they're about to happen, there's always anxiety or anticipation and just, worry about that new state. So even when things are planned and we know we want them to happen, and when things are planned, we want them to happen, or when they happen unexpectedly, we still have anxiety about change. And there's a quote or saying that, nobody likes change except a wet baby, wanting a diaper change. So change is all around us. Change is a certainty in life. It's sometimes with daily changes, sometimes major life changes, but planned or unplanned, expected or unexpected, internal changes with us or external to us that we can't control, change is certain. So once we embrace that and know that things will change, situations will change, good to bad, bad to good, ugly to better, better to best, bad to worse, worse to good. Once we know that, then that helps us. And we also have a natural resistance to change. People have very different levels of that. So that resting natural resistance to change, when we're comfortable in a certain space or with certain people, or with a situation or with a relationship or with a job, there is a natural resistance to change because of the process of change, because of the anxiety that comes with change. So some people have a very low barrier to change. Some people have a very high barrier. But once we know what that is, then we can work with that. So I'd like to end this relatively short podcast with what we can harness during periods of change using the letters of the word change. So C.H.A.N.G.E. So change. So C, times of change bring about, those are times for courage, clarity, and character development. So, again, good or bad, when there's change coming up, we need to have the courage to face what is coming up, the next phase, the next situation, the next new job, the lack of a job, whatever it is that is a change that's going on, the courage to face it, the clarity of mind to know that this is happening, and how do we adapt to that new situation, or what do we need to do during the process of change. and the character and confidence, character development to adapt during that new period of change. So change comes with courage, clarity, and character. H, hard work, humor, honesty. So that's the H, during periods of change, adapting to a new job, to a new relationship, to loss of something. It's a time of working hard to figure out the new situation or the processes involved for a successful transition and change, the hard work that comes with that, the honesty to accept what is going on. And if there's a change that was unexpected, to see, was it really unexpected? Were there things we could have predicted or looked at? Were there signs that things were going to change? So sometimes when a job is lost and we have to change into a different industry, during that period of change is a time to reflect on honestly, were there signs, were there things we could have looked at, and humor. Because change sometimes, especially things like menopause or puberty or divorce, there are times you have to just find the humor in the situation to get you through that period of change and not take yourself too seriously. A is anxiety, anticipation, agility. So yes, there is a natural anxiety when you're going in a period of change, or change is coming, or change has been thrust upon you. And the goal is to harness that anxiety, but overcome that and channel it into a development, into that new phase, anticipation of what is coming up and that new situation or new relationship, new place in life, the anticipation of what's coming up, and then the agility to adapt to that new situation, to be agile in how we think, in how we process things, in how we move through new situations, and how nimble we are in terms of finding our feet with that new process or place that we find ourselves. N is a time for negotiation, time to be nimble, and a time to embrace the newness. So even with good change, when you're moving from being a student to your first job, or from a resident to becoming an attendant in medicine, or going from a worker to a supervisor or manager or CEO, or going from being single to being coupled up, or being a parent for the first time. These are good changes that people work for and want, but with that comes a lot of anxiety. So the negotiation to make the best of that new position at work, to be nimble in how we adapt, and also embrace the newness of that new place. And sometimes that new place may not be what we planned for, but it is where we find ourselves with change. Sometimes that happens with a job. You lose a job and you find yourself in a new industry or a new entrepreneur because you're trying to develop a hustle, a side hustle, embracing the newness of where you are and growing from that part. Leading us to G, which is a time of growth, grit, and gratitude. So growth in that new place. And what we know is that growth really comes during periods of change, when we're stretched, or periods of adversity is when we grow. So embracing the growth that comes with change. It's hard. Sometimes it's difficult to transition. We're fighting that natural resistance to change, but change sometimes is a time of growth. It's a time of grit, especially if things are happening that we want to get out of, and the change is not one we planned. That's a time of grit and resilience to get through that to where we want to be. Not looking back, but looking forward to where we want to be. And it's a time of gratitude, because if things are changing, it means we're alive. And with life comes hope. And with hope comes the opportunity to do better and learn. So it's a time of gratitude for the things that you have. So even during those periods of change, there are some things that are constant in your life, and you appreciate those things and you're grateful for them. And E is for energy, evaluation, and experience. So with this new change comes energy, and you can channel that positive energy, remove negative energy into adapting into that new place. It comes with a period of evaluation, kind of like the honesty of looking at where you are now, where you want to be, and how things have worked out, and the experience that comes from the change, whether it's planned or unplanned, internal or external, thrust upon us or planned by us. The experience that comes with that change and the process of transitioning to that new place. And all the feelings that went with that is a period of evaluation and experience. So again, change is one of the constant things in life, that there will always be change. And to embrace that with courage, clarity, and character development, with hard work, humor, and honesty, knowing that there will be anxiety and anticipation, but also a time of agility, a time for negotiation, time to be nimble, and a time to embrace the newness of the change. With the growth comes grit and a sense of gratitude, and the energy, evaluation, and experience that comes from change would only allow us to grow. So change is constant. We need to embrace that. It's the act or instance of making or becoming different. We sometimes plan it out because we know we need to change certain things. And sometimes change happens without us planning it out. But if we embrace the letters of the word change and look at courage, clarity, character development, hard work, humor, and honesty, anxiety and anticipation and agility, negotiation, nimble, newness, growth, grit, gratitude, and harness the energy and evaluate ourselves and channel the experience into better things. So again, this has been 10 Minutes with TmFal. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode.